30 to 50% of your fractures produce 80% of your hydrocarbons.
That lends a lot of credibility. If you come in and can be upfront and honest and say, actually in this application, I think this product over here that I don't represent would be better for you. That all of a sudden now you become a trusted advisor rather than a salesman.
And I often say that we have all the requirements of space, right? Because it has to go underground and send us data from miles and miles away, and it has to work. Like, failure is not an option.
We'll put on, a standard mule shoe. Ours is slightly different just for that, but it's, everybody's got one.
The top drive and the drawworks really don't care whether the electrons coming at it are from a joystick or a PLC.
The panel, what you see here on the left, which is now controlled by one of my students, is showing you actually the control of our brakes.
As of now, geothermal is a pretty small market.
If you have tortuosity, the casing will be up against the side on part of the well. There won't be any cement there. The cement will have crescent around it.
So managed pressure drilling, it's been defined as a process to precisely control the pressure profile in the wellbore.
The key is being transparent with our clients in this case. So tell them what happened. If we had a failure, tell them exactly what happened. Whether it's our fault, whether it's whatever the issue was, we need to be transparent.
But I think it's very important for everyone in the industry to know what's out there and kind of what's happening downhole as well.
I've probably worked on over 40 different performance limiters in my career. If I miss any of those and the computer is raising weight on bit and I miss any of those, I have a train wreck. The computer's going in the ocean.
Here's your new colors, here's your new thing. We don't do that
at all. Here's the tattoo you need to get.
Yeah, here's the tattoo. Sorry about the last one. We used to fake that all the time.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Locksmith door. I can't say it.
The door locksmith.
The door locksmith.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the V-Door Locksmith Show. Wow, that was a really good intro. I did a really good job, and I totally forgot to take myself off of mute. One of these days, I'll get into the groove of doing this show. Welcome to the V-Door Locksmith Show, where we are unlocking the secrets to success in the oil and gas industry. One interview, one technical presentation, and then there was our technical screw-up for this week's show. So, thank you all for being here. It was a busy week. Had SPEATCE last week. We had AADE meeting this week. Spent 3 days out in Midland. Had a really good presentation alongside guys from K&M. Jonathan Lightfoot from Oxy was there. Chad Hannick from Superior QC. This other guy, I can't really quite remember. Cade Jackson. I don't know. You guys might have heard him. From Deep Energy Specialist was there doing his presentation. Absolutely amazing stuff. I was muted. Okay. Yeah, there we go. And it was special thanks to all the people on the AADE board, especially Ryan Maynard. Really appreciate you being able to bring us out there. Dallas Daly, Andrea Switzer, Tony. There's tons of people there to be able to say thank you and appreciate a lot of people on that board. They're very lucky to be able to get that many people to be helping out. So, guys, let us know where you're watching from. We'd be happy to be able to give you guys a shout out here on the show. So we got Ian watching from Woodlands, Texas. Thank you for being here. Mike says he is attending. Well, thank you, Mike, for being here. Terry Nelson says, hello all. As always, John DeWart here tuning in from Colorado. Thank you for being here. LinkedIn user. Robert Estes from Tomball, Texas. There we go. Got that one. Luis Gonzalez telling me no sound. Thank you, sir. No sound. No sound. At least her mic worked. Yes. Thank you. Okay, we can hear it now. Thanks, guys. Already muted. Okay, there we go. Better. Ryan Maynard got it. LinkedIn user. Thank you, guys. Oh, there we go. Jacob Brewster said, Anakin, one of these days we're going to get Jacob onto the show as well. Brandon Webb tuning in from Houston, Texas. Thanks for being here. Jacob says he's tuned in from Oklahoma City. Well, once again, thank you guys all for being here. Tracy Walker says she's tuning in from Spring. Thank you guys so much. Do appreciate it. And then it's like as soon as I click off, then somebody else is there. So David tuning in from the Woodlands. Thank you for being here, sir. All right. Maybe I'm getting text messages too. People telling me that I forgot to turn on my volume and stuff. All right. Cool. Okay. Yeah. That was probably my girlfriend texting me saying, you're muted. She always tunes in just to be able to give us one more view to bump up the algorithm there. So speaking of which, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Tag somebody in the comment section who you think is worthwhile to be able to be watching this show. This is all stuff that helps out and just kind of keeps the show going. Because if everybody just stops watching, then I gotta stop doing the show. So if you guys can keep watching, I appreciate it. It means a lot. All right. Isabella says that she's tuning in from Midland, Texas. Isabel, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. All right. Do I have a drill bit handy? I do not. Tracy, drill bit me. That's a DBR one. But as per usual, we've been giving away some fancy drill bits. This one, we ran out of filament right there. Would have been a good one. But so that's what it looks like, DBR. Maybe we can make that. I've got a whole bunch of these. There's one there. There's another one there and there. And then like two more down here. A whole bunch of these that have messed up. If anybody actually wants a whole bunch of these messed up ones, let me know. Just come by my office and you can just take them all. All right. So we've been doing an absolutely amazing partnership with a company called Corva. So type in hashtag Corva right now into the comment section. Be able to win yourself one of these drill bits, and we'll be mailing these off very soon. We're going to be, I think that one didn't get a very good inspection. Was it NDT inspection? Is that what it's called? Because I can hear that one. It's cracking. Oh, it would not work down hole. That'd be a twist off and quick and easy. All right. Anyways, so type in hashtag Corva for your chance to be able to win a drill bit. And this is your Corva Insight of the Week.
So well design is a complex process requiring the full collaboration of domain experts working together to integrate various well planning data. It's usually a repetitive, time-consuming, and error-prone process that may result in additional costs and prolong the planning cycle time. The industry is developing the digital well design to offer an effective means to integrate, automate, and standardize well construction planning process. Such system encompass integrated workflow by which engineer can carry out drilling completion tasks on single platform. This allows all stakeholders involved during the design stage minimize human mistake and significantly decrease the planning time. The collaborative well design platform will be game changer to take drilling engineering process to the next level with a better quality of well design.
All right. Thank you guys so much. That was your Corva Insight of the Week. And for everybody that's putting in hashtag Corva, I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys. All right. Let me banner brand. Wow. I am so just like I used to do every one of these used to be just digital in the past. And now I'm starting to get the hang of it again. All right. So that was your Corva Insight of the Week. Let's add this one in. Maybe we should make it bigger. Yeah, I don't need to be on the screen, but there we go. All right, let's do our drawing. We've got 20 entries so far. Maybe I give it like a 10-second countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, now we're up to 22. All right, here we go. And who is going to be our winner this week? Yay! Somebody's going to get a drill bit and some Corva swag. And our winner is Terry Nelson. Terry, thank you so much. I do appreciate it for watching the show. You are our winner of the week. Please shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, and we will DM with your address, right? Don't just say hi, but send us your address, and then we will get you a drill bit. All right. Take that off the screen to make sure I click all the right buttons here. And now it's time for our guest, Andrea Switzer. Thank you for being here.
Let me unmute.
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered it a lot quicker than I did this week. So thank you so much for being here. For everybody that's watching, please, if you guys have any questions for Andrea and you want to hit her with any brain busters, feel free to throw them out. She's more than happy to take on the most technical questions that you may have this week. So,
and thank you for having me, David. I'm happy to be here.
And for those who don't know, Andrea used to be on the show. We used to do a minute with Andrea every week. And so this time it was like, you know what? Let's not do just a minute. Let's go as long as the audience wants it, as long as Andrea can handle it, and as long as I can still keep standing here, which I've been able to do this for 4 hours at a time. So there we go. All right, Andrea, my first question for you is, what were your thoughts on this week's AADE meeting?
Yeah, so this AADE technical forum that we just held this week, put on mostly by Ryan Maynard. So big shout out to him. He did a great job coordinating and picking all of the presenters. It was really good insight into, I would say, a not very studied topic in the industry. I think some things kind of slide off of the main plate of a drilling engineer, and wellbore surveying accuracy is one of them. So I really appreciated the time that presenters put into there. There was a lot of good academic, definitely no sales pitch information, and all of them were really great. I enjoyed each one of them.
How much of what Chad Hannick's presentation do you think holds weight in our industry? So for those that weren't there, obviously Chad Hannick was talking about being able to present a multi-station analysis tool that actually checks and verifies if the MSA procedure that people are using to be able to correct surveys is actually accurate or not, or is actually beneficial to what standard they're saying that it does. How much impact do you think that will have on the industry, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can speak on the impact on the industry at this current moment, but I think his process and the way that he's making it open to everybody, and basically allowing people to kind of contribute and kind of QC his own process is really, really fantastic. I think a lot of people in the drilling profession take for granted that things that we purchase or get from a service provider have been QC'd and are ready to go. And I think that is typically not always the case. So something like Chad is working on with Superior QC, allowing for these wellbore survey corrections that are becoming somewhat of an industry standard, especially in these shale basins, to actually QC those QCs, I think is fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
So why do you think it, back to your original comment, why do you think that wellbore positioning and stuff usually, I guess, gets almost set aside or overlooked when it comes to the drilling engineering position?
So I would say one of the things that occupies a lot of drilling engineers' time and energy would be anything that costs time and money on the drilling rig side. And so wellbore uncertainty and positioning, unless there's a big train wreck, is typically low on the level. Now, this is obviously not the case if you're drilling from a platform. Wellbore positioning uncertainty is top of the list. But if you're drilling even a single 6-well pad in the Permian, anti-collision is something that is maybe done on the planning stage and then forgotten about. Can we get the rotary steerable out to location on time? If not, the rig's sitting there and waiting. What about our rental drill pipe that costs $10,000 a day, or $5,000 a day? It's just not that big ticket item until it becomes a big issue.
Wow, I had no idea rental drill pipe might cost that much. Then again, I didn't know people rented drill pipe. So I'm still learning here. So, Andrea, let's do this. Let's take a step back. Give us your background and how you got into the industry.
Sure. I would say it came from my roots. My family was in oil and gas, and I traveled around the world living overseas. The first time I was on a drilling rig was offshore Africa when I was 8 years old. That was the first time that I saw this huge equipment. Had no idea what was going on. It was really kind of a field trip. The helicopter broke down, so I got to spend the night on the rig because I was 8. I think I was kind of hooked since then. I don't know if I actually realized it at the time, but I think the seed was there. When I was in high school, I wanted to be an astronaut because I said, well, space is the coolest frontier. Then I realized that aerospace engineers don't actually become astronauts, and I knew I wanted to do engineering. And so I thought, drilling holes in the middle of the earth seemed like a great next step. And I've never really looked back since. So petroleum engineering degree from Colorado School of Mines, and been in the industry about 9 years now.
So as far as, to go back to where you're saying, so like, as far as new people coming into the industry, what's one of the best ways that we can, other than taking 8-year-olds and letting them stay overnight at a drilling rig, what's a great way to be able to start getting more, students or young people involved in our industry?
Sure. I think it's really the outreach of some of our industry organizations, for instance, SP or AADE, trying to get in with local schools and local communities and put on STEM outreach events. Now, there's a lot of STEM outreach events, and I can go in any direction, but really focusing on energy. I think a lot of kids and young people today don't really understand energy and where it comes from and how it comes to be, and when they flip a light switch, what all went into that. And I think that education process would maybe spark the curiosity for those coming up in the next, hey, well, I want to make sure the light switch turns on when I'm 60 years from now, right? So how can we make that transition to, don't just take things for granted, but be curious about them and learn and engineer more.
I do have to mention there, you're saying as far as this industry groups getting involved, and Dallas Daly said something at the AADE meeting that, really kind of struck a chord with me. He said that, currently they've got, I think it was $200-something thousand in the bank account, and he's looking to be able to get that down. And it wasn't just by saying, oh, hey, we're going to have a big Christmas party, we're going to have a big blowout. The next thing he said was, we're going to get some students some scholarships. And that just meant so much. And I, praise, not only you, but the rest of the AADE board out there in West Texas for what y'all are doing there to be able to help out. Once we get students enrolled, like let's say, somebody's at Colorado School of Mines, Texas Tech, was it University of Texas Permian Basin?
Yeah, UTPB. Mm-hmm.
UTPB. I wanted to say UTPBAD, but that's the Permian Basin Association of Directional Drillers. It's completely different, right? But another worthy group that's doing absolutely amazing things out there in West Texas. Once we get students that are actually enrolled, what should the students be? Because I went for mechanical engineering. I wasn't trying to get into the oil and gas business, and somehow wound up here hosting a show, right? Once the students are involved in a petroleum engineering program, what should they be looking to do? And then on the same side, what should we be doing as industry groups and as industry professionals to be able to help those students out?
Yeah, great question. Just a real quick note on scholarships for anybody that's listening, that has anybody that they know that has somebody that is a university student. Plenty of AADE chapters around the US are giving scholarships. So go and look on those websites, and they're some of the easiest scholarships to get. So please have those students or people that apply. As for what students should do while they're at university, I'd say the first year, I think they really need to explore again what they're passionate about, what they do. And if that's oil and gas and that's energy, I think that's awesome. And my biggest piece of advice for those students would be to get involved with any sort of industry associations that's associated at the school. So AADE has student chapters at all of those schools that we mentioned, as well as SPE. And whether you want to be in drilling or not, it's still good industry exposure for you. But they also have, if you want to do mining or electrical or chemical or civil, there's a lot of industry support for those groups. And just, you can sign up for $20 and you get normally free lunch once a month. As a college student, that's a pretty good deal. And to just learn about different things that maybe you could do in the future. And then from an industry standpoint, I think one of the biggest things that the students need help with is those good quality technical presentations coming in. They don't always get the support that they need for people to come in from industry, present, especially operators. And it's just, what is the day in the life of a reservoir engineer? What's the day in the life of an MWD hand? What could be my potential career path or experience here? And even that 30-minute presentation, and it could be 10 slides, could be really impactful for somebody sitting in the audience.
Day in the life of an MWD hand. I think we could sum that up in a picture. Get your feet up on the desk. There's a movie playing, and then surveys and everything else are behind you. Just stuff taking place on the rig, alarms going off, things beeping. Not important. All right. So first question of today, I guess this comes from my not knowing how the industry works. To help David and the audience, what are some reasonings to rent drill pipe versus using what is listed / provided from the drilling contractor?
Yeah, so great question. Typically, drilling contractors will have, I would say, a basic tubular string, which on land could be 5-inch NC50 or IF connections. Those again are API standard connections, cheaper to cut, cheaper to recut if needed or reface. Unfortunately, with the limitations of those tubulars, you may not be able to drill the well the way that you want to, or with the torque capability that you want to. And so operators will look to potentially rent a more premium drill pipe, either a 5-inch premium connection or 5.5 with a premium connection, and that will give more benefits for drilling the well. So basically weighing that rental rate of that drill pipe versus the optimization that it brings. So using rough numbers, let's say the rental drill string was $2,000, your spread rate is about $50,000 a day. If I can save 1 hour of time each day over the course of my well, then that's something that I could use rental drill pipe for. And you could apply more weight on bit, which would give you, which would result in a higher torque. But that higher weight on bit may allow you to drill faster and get higher rates of penetration.
All right. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I just didn't know that. I thought, it was like you buy a car, it comes with the wheels. You didn't always need to get the aftermarket stuff.
You've never upgraded your truck, David?
I drive a toaster. I had to get an Uber driver to come out to Midland this week. I had to hire Kate Jackson. I had to buy him lunch every time that his vendors were buying lunch. I had to pick up the ticket.
Sometimes standard isn't what is needed. How's that?
All right. Here's a question from Mr. John Ward. How would Andrea recommend we attract more YPs, young professionals, engineers, to participate in SPE technical sections, specifically DSATS, Drilling System Automation Technical Section, Drilling Automation, and WPTS, also known as ISC WSA, so Wellbore Positioning Technical Session, Industry Steering Committee for Wellbore Survey Accuracy or Borehole Surveying. Now that, and this is important to note, students are allowed to join SPE technical sections, something that Fred Florence from the DSATS group has been pushing really hard on. So with all that said, Andrew, you answer the question.
Also a great question. I personally have never been involved in a technical section. And I'd say maybe just from my perspective, maybe it's because they don't believe they could, provide value. Hey, I'm a 22-year-old drilling engineer. How could I possibly communicate with a 30 plus year experienced hand about borehole surveying, right? Like, I've just been on the drilling rig for the first time. How could I contribute to this discussion? So I think a couple of different ways. I think, using a platform like ATCE to really highlight some of these technical sessions, or even smaller conferences, to say, hey, this is what the technical session does, and this is how people could contribute to that. But I think the easiest way to get people to volunteer, and is the reason why I'm volunteering in a couple of my current roles, is because people reached out to me. Hey, Andrew, would you consider doing this committee position? It would involve X, Y, and Z. And this is potentially some benefits, and this is how we could learn and utilize you. So I think if you really wanted, younger professionals to help with that, there's definitely contacts for, like I said, each industry association will normally have a student chapter at some regional level of universities. I think those would be great contacts to say, hey, could we come present at your meeting, or just do a Zoom with maybe your board of directors? Would somebody be interested in? That would be a great situation. And then another way would be potentially connecting with the YP group. So SPE, YP is a fairly big presence in a lot of the major regions, for instance, Appalachia, Gulf Coast, Permian. Reaching out to those boards, they're always looking for speakers or events, or trying to figure out, how can we impact our members, and have just a little happy hour. Hey, let's talk about these 5 different technical sections and what you could potentially contribute. So again, allowing people to find what they can provide value in, and then kind of the personal reach out would be my best recommendation or advice.
There we go. Ryan Maynard did put in here a quick link to, I guess, Pulse Life Living Location MWD Edition Ryan Maynard. I can't click that link right now, but I guess anybody else that is watching can, so be sure to check that out after the show. So Ryan, thank you for that and appreciate it. Okay, so we've got a question about wired drill pipe, and then, let's go to the wired drill pipe one. We'll keep going in order here. So now we're jumping back. So what about using wired drill pipe for optimization purposes?
Yeah, James, that's a great question. Unfortunately, I haven't had as many opportunities to work offshore as I have wanted to in my career thus far. And I don't know of anybody on land using wired drill pipe. Maybe Ryan Maynard knows, because the company he works for likes to kind of push those technical limits. But I agree with you that I think there are potential optimizations there, but I've heard that it's extremely cost prohibitive, at least on land.
Very true. So I don't know who the LinkedIn user is. Oh, that's Robert Estes. So Andrew, contributing to the discussion at technical sections events is important, but young professionals should also look at these technical section events as learning opportunities. I'm constantly looking at them as learning opportunities because I don't know half the stuff that we're talking about. To me, the great benefit of professional societies is sharing information so we can all continue our education. Very much agreed. I know I learned a lot this week as far as the presentations. Then Christian says, are new engineers and experienced hires returning to the oil field in states, et cetera, following recent downturns post-COVID as projects are starting to pick up again?
I can only speak, obviously, from my personal experience and kind of, my previous colleagues in the industry, and I would say it's a resounding not really. Most people, whether they were disenchanted with the industry in the 2014 downturn, or they struggled through the 17-18 in a position they didn't really like. And then obviously the 2020 downturn definitely moved a lot of people away from the oil and gas industry and said, well, in my 6 or 7 years in the industry, there's been 3 downturns. How can I support a family, or, achieve my life goals, or put money aside for retirement if I can't keep a job for, 18 months or more? And so I would say, the majority of people that started around the time that I did, that, are fortunate to lose their job, have not really stayed with the industry because they don't view it as stable.
It's very true. I have not been able to keep a job in this industry either. I'm a very bad employee. All right. That was all the questions. Okay. So yeah, you guys, if y'all have any more questions, especially, wire drill pipe, since drill pipe seems to be the thing that we were wanting to talk about. So what are some of the biggest complexities that you face as being a drilling engineer?
I would say probably one of the biggest complexity is, again, being asked or expected to be an expert in so many things. So we talked about, wellbore positioning uncertainty. That's just one of maybe 30 to 50 facets that you really need to understand how you should engineer or encompass that particular item in your well planning process. You need to know about drill pipe, about casing, about wellheads, about bits, about motors, about MWD tools, about how the rig functions, wire drill pipe. So I think that's probably one of the challenging things, but it's also what I love most about drilling engineering is that you get to, even though it's, you're a driller and you kind of get put into maybe a little shoebox, you have to understand so many things to actually optimize and make the drilling program work efficiently and progress that optimally.
So what's the best way for somebody who is coming up as a drilling engineer to be able to start to understand all of those different concepts?
Yeah, so the best advice I could give for anybody that's a young drilling engineer is to start asking questions and to never stop. For those engineers that maybe they've gotten to 3 years or 4 years and they, assume that everyone thinks that they know everything and now they can't ask questions because, then I would be a bad drilling engineer. That's where their learning level really stops unless you're gaining it through experience or, train wrecks. You're not actually getting information from service providers. And those are kind of some of my favorite conversations. Because I've never worked on an MWD tool. I've never hooked it up. I've never installed a pressure transducer. And so all of that information I have to glean from someone else. It's a conversation with that directional provider. Hey, I heard you talking about this new MWD technology in this meeting. Could you help me understand it a little bit more? I was unsure about X, Y, and Z. You don't have to say I had no idea what you were talking about. But again, have those conversations with people that have more technical knowledge. And one of my career mentors, her favorite phrase and one of my favorite phrases is be a learn-it-all, not a know-it-all. And I would really recommend that to anybody.
Well, you spoke of vendors there and them having some information. So being a drilling engineer, what would your advice be to the vendors since they are, for certain areas and certain applications are the technical experts in areas? What should they be doing to be able to be a better resource for drilling engineers?
Sure. Well, that can sometimes be a tightrope to walk depending on, who you're talking to, right? So, and obviously can depend on that relationship with that company and or that individual. And so if service provider A is talking with drilling engineer B and drilling engineer, asks a direct question, how is that relationship to say, hey, I hear this is your question. This is the answer to your question. Have you thought about these other things? And sometimes they don't feel comfortable with that. And I totally understand that because you don't want to, offend somebody you're trying to, provide a service to. But at the same time, it's, can you provide yourself to that engineer as a third party type, maybe a, non-biased advisor, right? Like in your intro, you have that gentleman who says, yeah, well, maybe this product that we have doesn't work, but this other product might work as well. And that's where I think you gain that trust and rapport. And so I wish that more of those service provider to drilling engineering conversations were more open and honest about technical requirements and potential options that could be good for that project versus just, yep, I answered the question, I did my job today.
How often do you see it from vendors that are instead of trying to push the right solution, are trying to push just their solution? You know, it's the whole thing. Like you go to a car dealership and you're like, I really want a red Mustang. And they're like, we don't have any red Mustangs, but we got a white Corolla.
Well, I'm assuming that they'd find a customer in you with the white Corolla. So that may be a good dealership for you to visit. Honestly, it really depends on the person. Maybe half, maybe a little less. Again, it really depends on the type of service and what directional providers are, I would say, a very interesting mix, because are you providing the service of that team on site or maybe remote ops? Are you providing a motor technology? Are you providing MWD reliability? Or are you providing, hey, like we could transform your drilling program by doing A, B, C, and D if you're open and willing. So again, it's person dependent.
What about with drill bits? You didn't mention that one.
You mean these?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So drill bits was interesting because the technology and the modeling of drill bits changes so frequently. So I was actually talking to somebody else about this the other day, and it's like, well, for instance, a specific company has, patented a technology called the split blade. And so the split blade technology is over 5 years old. And so sometimes in the mindset of a drilling engineer, all split blades are split blades. Well, there's a lot of different iterations on the split blade design. And so I think it's sometimes tough and challenging. Can the drilling engineer spend time getting into the nitty gritty of, this 6-blade 16 mil cutter bit versus this 6-blade 16 mil cutter bit if they're fishing on this rig and this rig sidetracking and this rig is about to have an anti-collision problem? And so it's those technical discussions that sometimes get lost between those two interested parties. And I think from a service provider standpoint, it's knowing your audience and when they can have that discussion. Hey, I hear you're really busy today. How can I package the information to let you make a decision easier? Sending 10, marketing flyers that say this bit is awesome isn't always the best. If somebody's like, I just got 100 emails from bit provider X, I really needed a 3-minute conversation with technical person Y.
I would hope that there's not a drilling engineer that's facing an anti-collision issue. What do you say? 2 fishing
and a sidetrack. I can almost guarantee you there is.
Wow. That makes me think, is if there's an engineer that's facing that, did they do a bad job engineering?
Could be, or there's a team with that drilling engineer, right? That engineer can only control so much. They cannot control a motor part downhole, even if there's run and spec. They can't control that. Potentially a new directional provider allowed the well to drift to another well center and didn't know. So there's, and I've seen the gamut of things that can happen that you would never expect. So it's possible.
Well, we've got a couple of comments and then one question that's come up here. So James said, wired drill pipe has been used in the Eagle Ford, Permian, in Texas. It has been used in North Dakota. Oxy and Hess have used it. I do know that Molly Giltner wrote an SPE paper about her using the wired drill pipe in West Texas with Oxy. Might have been New Mexico, but out that direction. So that's out there if anybody is curious. Any thoughts on that? And before I just start rambling on.
No, I agree with James's comment. Wired drill pipe is some engineers will think pace on data is too much data already. So you add wired drill pipe to that equation and the data increases tenfold. So some of the companies that you mentioned running it, instead of that engineer watching 3, 4, 5 rigs themselves, maybe there's a team of 2 to 3 engineers watching that rig. And so their capability of processing the data and actually getting value from it is a lot different. And I think that's something to take into account. Some companies are like, oh, I can give you a bunch of real-time data. Here's all of these things that you could learn from it. Well, who's actually looking at that data and making decisions about it? And if that engineer has 3 train wrecks over here, you're trying to talk to them about bit cutter size or shapes, and now you want them to look at gigabytes of wired drill pipe data on a real-time basis, there's only one person in that seat potentially for that other company. So I'm not saying, like, I personally have not used wired drill pipe. The companies I worked for in the past, couldn't find the value in that higher price tag. But again, they also may not have had the manpower to look at the data. So fair point.
There you go. Christian says, never stop learning. I try to make it sure that I learn something each day or pass information on to trainees here in Qatar or Qatar. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that. So, but that's good to be able to hear that people are passing on information to trainees and still want to learn. Yes, I learned at a very late stage in my career that I just don't know anything. And so every time they do something at the rig, I'm like, what is slack off weight? Nobody ever taught me, so I'm just going to ask. And now,
but you do know about drill pipe tallies, so you got that going for you.
I got that one. First day out there. All right. Question here from the guy next door. Is there a technical skill or subject that most drilling engineers don't have, but they should work on?
That's a tough question because the word most is a little tricky. I would say from, again, the drilling engineers that I've personally met, talked to, worked with, in, I would say, again, land-based, multi-rig per engineer. And I'm not sure about technical skill, but I would say, Cade, what you focus on, data analytics, data visualization, and how to do things in a more effective way, that's definitely something that I think could be improved. When I, in some of my previous jobs, and I'm definitely not an expert, but just using simple data visualizations to improve processes was kind of a new thing, or can be a new thing. As for technical skills, again, I think a lot of people want drilling engineers to have a deep understanding of multiple things, but they don't always take the time to learn that as an early career, or they don't know what they don't know. So for instance, something like mechanical specific energy, they say, oh yeah, mechanical specific energy, yeah, I know this, or yeah, I understand we're having drilling parameter problems, but do they actually understand that bit rock face interaction? Do they understand high frequency torsional oscillation? So I don't know if there's one subject, Kate. I think it's just an overall, we need to up our technical game. And this could be through, learning at technical sections. It could be attending AADE meetings, or again, having those better conversations with service providers.
Or watching the Vidor Locksmith show.
And watching the Vidor Locksmith show, except for this episode.
Ryan asks, if a drilling engineer is good at fishing, is he or she a bad engineer?
I would say...
I'm going to post this on LinkedIn later.
I think it's a great question. I guess I'll give my take on it. I think the best engineer is knowing in which situations you should or should not fish. There's some companies that will fish until they've run up their AFE. There are some companies that will not fish at all. And I think there are situations, where it should be attempted. And I think helping with that decision process and the probabilities of success is the most important thing that an engineer can do in that situation. Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's the oddball engineer that nobody's heard, oddball idea that nobody's ever heard from for that engineer. But I wouldn't say it's a good or bad. I think there's a lot of things that go into, did something result in a fishing job? And I don't always think that that's on that engineer or company man or directional driller or driller. It could be one combination of both with nobody having all of the information. Well, there's a lot of comments coming up.
Yeah, this is good. Most time people don't ask. I mean, like, we might have gotten like 2 questions last week, so this is great stuff. All right, John asks, what new technology would you most like to have implemented in the field for improving the drilling of your wells? It's a phenomenal question.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Sounds like John needs to be hosting the show, not me.
Yeah, so this may not be like a popular answer, but I personally believe that a lot of problems that are attributed to other things actually come back to the drilling fluid and solids control systems. And I'm sure that there's technologies that I don't know about that are potentially being implemented elsewhere. But actual real-time measurement of and good quality measurements of low gravity solids in systems, not waiting on a 12-hour retort, looking at, how much solids pass through your shaker screens, what is the viability of your shaker screens, what's the true condition of your mud, and not just a 12-hour mud check that doesn't check all the things that you need it to. So I guess if you could just magically measure all of the solids control systems and drilling fluid on a real-time basis, I think that would be awesome.
I want to say that Dr. Eric Van Oort and the Rapids team at University of Texas has something along those lines.
Yeah, I think there's I've heard about, drilling fluid weight measured in real time. I think that's great, not having to use a scale that's potentially never calibrated and somebody that's, puts the scale on a slanted surface. There's that level of technology, but it's also, just from a solids management, how is my centrifuge working? Should I increase or decrease the RPM? Do I even have the right centrifuge for the job? What is my centrifuge trying to accomplish? Should I change my shaker screens? Should I change, the bed angle? Those types of decisions are fairly below, a day-to-day drilling engineer. And I think solids control can kind of become this wildfire without you even realizing it until later on when you start seeing long dives or incremental stream back-offs or really high fluid rheologies that you start having lost returns we're not expecting.
Quick question: your microphone, I think, has changed. It's like picking up something.
How about now?
It's okay. I think it's okay now. I don't know. It just sounded like you were able to, like, I don't know.
Sorry.
It was like moving or touching something or something like that. Just there we go. Okay. I just wanted to make sure to let you know because it was going to be if it kept going, it was going to be hard to hear you. Christian says use wire drill pipe in Norway. Lots of surface data available in real time. Yeah, I would imagine so. Okay, then there's a comment that's way too long to even read and put on here, but Damon thinks it's like cutting off there at the end, so I don't see a question mark or anything in there, so you might have to cut that down a little bit. All right, next one. Hi, Andrea. What new drilling technology do you think is the biggest potential to improving drilling performance and reduce costs? This kind of goes back to what John's question was, but feel free to. This one might be just improving, or this instead of improving drilling performance, maybe just reducing cost. And that's from Robert Estes, I think. No, that's from Mark Charter, U.S. sales manager for Scout Downhole. Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
Better mud motors. Better mud motors, of course, from Scout. Just kidding. That was not a plug. No, I think, a new technology that would really improve drilling performance is if we could put real-time, if we could know real-time dull grading of a bit and actually understand, what is wearing and how it's wearing. And, instead of, we hit some chert, or there was a high frequency torsional oscillation, or it was stick slip because we have this real-time data. It says, we have stick slip at the motor, or we have stick slip in the bit. But when is that bit damage occurring? How is the damage occurring? We do a lot of post-failure analysis. Okay, we're looking at this beach mark on a cutter, and this is what we think it means. But what about this other cutter over here? What if this cutter fell out? What if this nozzle was plugged? How does this impact the bit? And so I think if we had, actual, like if you could watch the bit drill and you could see it, dull over time, that would be pretty amazing.
Yes. Once again, it would be awesome if Scout was a client. Sandy Lawson. Yes, that's okay. Making sure. Sandy Lawson says, should drilling engineers not have a basic understanding of reservoir, or should they have a basic? That's what they are delivering to make a project viable.
Yeah, Sandy, I think that's a great question. I think it really depends on how that drilling engineer came into that drilling engineering role and what their background is. Because I was a petroleum engineer, I did get a big background in reservoir engineering. And I always was comfortable reaching out to, my asset partners and kind of understanding a little bit more of, where is close enough to the target and what actually is needed, and kind of balancing that performance versus reservoir rock quality that's contacted. I'm not sure exactly where you're coming from, but I definitely know that there are some drilling engineers out there that kind of disregard that, and they say, well, we'll drill the well and they'll produce it, we'll make money, it'll be fine, doesn't matter. I've been in situations where working with a reservoir and production engineer really changed the wellbore geometry, so that they could install a bigger ESP lower toward the reservoir, that wasn't previously possible in previous well designs. So I think, again, it's that individual and what they value. And again, if you don't know, you don't know. And that's why I just wish everybody in the industry would really just start being, more curious about what's happening on the other side of the fence, or even the desk next door.
There we go. Break down the silos. How much time do drilling engineers spend being trained on more advanced technical issues?
Not enough. Next question. Just kidding. Sometimes it's a function of the support that they have from management for getting more technical training. Sometimes it's just not there, whether that's manpower or training budgets, et cetera. And again, some of it I've personally had to fight for in my career. Hey, I really want to go to this course, and this is why, and this is what I'm going to gain from it. And when the drilling engineer does that and reaches out, it's not, hey, we're sending you to this course, just go sit in the back of the classroom and answer emails. You have a kind of a personal goal for attending that class. So I definitely think there should be more technical training. But again, I don't necessarily know if it has to be a formal, $4,000 or $5,000 class. It could be those conversations with people, or, hey, let's take a shop tour of this, or, hey, let's look at this wellhead cut out of X and let's start asking questions.
Go. And Ryan Maynard's answer to John Ward's question was drilling wells with lasers. I would say lightsabers. But, they got their data from wire drill pipe jobs. Okay. David, Andrew's comment about the need for real-time well fluids and solids control monitoring is right on. It reminds me of my suggestion to you to interview Mark Hibbard of Corva on your show. Sorry. Okay, we'll get in touch with him. All right.
David, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back to Damon's comment, and if I don't get it, Damon, feel free to comment back.
Okay, yeah.
But interesting your perspective from operators as to what would be the best approach to break into a company. This one's tough. I've gotten cold called. I've gotten, emails that are kind of just, here's some stuff, please call me back. I've gotten reached out to on LinkedIn. I think it's probably different from each individual. If there's anything that you can do to figure out who the decision maker is at that specific operator and that specific department, that helps a ton. Sometimes drilling engineers have a ton of autonomy and they can pick and choose the gamut, and some it's all made by a supply chain person that's 3 to 4 levels or silos away. And I think that's kind of where there's a big disconnect. It's, hey, well, I reached out to drilling engineer and they never got back with me. Well, that drilling engineer may have gotten an instruction that says don't talk to vendors, or you don't get to pick that, so don't waste your time doing it. In that specific situation, try to just reach out to them as a person instead of a salesperson. LinkedIn, I think, is a great way to do that. And again, don't just click connect. David could tell you this more than I can. Write a note. Hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. I like, and like, just make it personal. Like, I have worked in the industry for 10 years. You seem like a really awesome drilling engineer. Love to connect with you. And then if they connect, that's great. And then you could say, hey, if you ever have any needs or questions about solids control equipment, let me know and I'd be happy to help. And so I realize that that's maybe tough to hear and you're not having meetings and presentations, but sometimes there's barriers that you're not aware of, and anything you can do by talking to other service providers about that can help a ton.
You know what? I think that'll be my new LinkedIn thing here, helping drilling engineers learn about MWD. So if you're a drilling engineer and you're watching, and you want to learn about MWD related items or things, wellbore positioning as well. I may not be able to answer those specifically, but I can tell you who can. I know who all of those individuals are. So there's my big take for to be able to tell people all about MWD. All right. So Damon says, thank you so much. I appreciate the answer. Love hearing your perspective. There we go. And Tracy says, thanks. Great conversation. It's not over with yet, you guys. It's like leaving, whatever. Okay. So Andrew, I've got a question for you. How much does it impact a drilling engineer's approach to the work, having to drill in different areas, and how big of a difference is it, drilling stuff like, let's say, northern part of like the Midland Basin versus the southern part? Could we see a point in time where drilling engineers are getting extremely focused on just one area, one county, one region?
Great question. Obviously, drilling engineering fundamentals and principles are the same no matter what. Physics doesn't change. That environment that the physics has to be applied into does change. So I guess a couple of thoughts. I think drilling engineers are already being siloed. We have operators that it's not enough to have Permian Basin experience. You have to have Delaware Basin experience or Southern Midland Basin experience. And so I think that siloing is already happening. I think
Wait, hold on, Andrea. You're cutting out on me. Is it just me? Oh, it's just me. Oh, wait, hold on. You gotta see the. Hold on. Let's see. Is it working? Tracy, would you tune into the show real quick and see if you can hear Andrea? Okay, Kate's telling me it's good, so never mind. Go back and start answering your question. I think it's just on my side, so I apologize. Oh, she just logged off. I got a nope and a yes. You're good. No cutting out here as well. Okay, I apologize, guys. It was just cutting out in my headphones, so I didn't know. I apologize. So maybe Andrea will log back in here in a second. Look at me. I can hear you, Dave. Andrea's breaking up. Okay, so I heard it. Some people didn't. She'll be back in just a second. This is actually an amazing interview. We're getting a lot of really good information, and hopefully there's a lot of not just drilling engineers, but also vendors and stuff watching too. While we're waiting for Andrea to be able to jump back on, tag somebody in the industry that would get something worthwhile out of this interview. Please just tag one person in the comment section, just at somebody, maybe another sales rep, maybe another drilling engineer, something like that. And then there we go. So Let's add Andrea back to the stream. And that. There we go. It's breaking up. Maybe it'll come back in a second. Here, I'm going to leave Andrea on the screen, and then I'm going to refresh my browser. Let me see. Let me try to come back. Reload site changes may not be saved. Oh, cancel then. I don't know. Remove. Oh, no. It was going so well. I had to mess it all up. All right. All right. Let me try this real quick. Add stream. All right, I'm back, you guys. Let's see. Andrew's is still not working. Oh, no. I'm messing everything up. Okay. Well, we're right at an hour, and I apologize to Andrea. I'm going to have to try to kick her from studio. So let's kick her out. Not that I want to. Just dang. And we lost all of our I lost all the LinkedIn comments. So if you guys are still asking questions on the LinkedIn side, I need you guys to re-ask the questions. Let me see if I can get her to be able to come back in. Oh, somebody says watching from Brazil. Tuning in a little late and at the wrong time. I apologize. All right. Well, I apologize for that, you guys. Maybe we'll just have to have a part 2 with Andrea, and I'll have to remember the questions that we were asking, because we were getting a lot of really, really good questions, and I appreciate everybody watching the show. And device is not connected. Let's see if it'll work this time. Nope, still not coming through. Wait. Oh, wait.
I think I'm back.
Are we back? Great show, like always. I don't know. It's cutting out a little bit. They're still blurry to me. Sorry, Andrea. I said it at the very beginning of the show. Maybe you guys didn't hear me because I was still on mute. But there we go. Okay. I think Andrea's about to type me something up. I heard her little keyboard going. Oh no. How about this? We'll go ahead and call the show for today, but we will definitely have Andrea back on the show again in the future to be able to give us lots of answers on her perspective of being a drilling engineer. And we will pick up right where we left off, talking about being specific, area specific. Oh, she sent me a text. We'll do it areas. We'll pick up right where we left off about being area specific. Oh, I can't even talk right now. So anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching the show. I really do appreciate it. That hour absolutely flew by. We will definitely get her back on the show. How about next time we'll try to be able to convince Andrew to be able to come down to the studio and be able to do something in person. Thank you guys all for so much for your support. Next week, who's next week on the show? Next week, we've got Todd Benson, the founder of Motive, which ended up selling to HP Technologies, then became part of HP, one of the first directional drilling automation digital solutions. He'll be on the show next week. Rodrigo can.
Rodrigo Rendon.
Yeah, Rodrigo. Oh wait, Andrew's back. Is he working?
I'm back on my phone. The whole Wi-Fi at my house just destroyed itself.
It's still a little choppy, but Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show this week. We will have you back here in studio next time. How about that? If you're willing to make the trip down here to Wimberley. Do appreciate the time you did take to be on the show. Like I said, Todd Benson next week. Rodrigo.
And Grant Pruitt.
Then Grant Pruitt with Pruitt MPD services. And then the following week, I will be in Alaska. So if anybody wants to come to Alaska to do a live show from there, please feel free to join in with me. Damon says, thanks, David and Andrew. Kristen says, thanks. Pity about the lake. It was a great show having Andrea on, giving some very great insights. I can't even read. Great show, like always. Hi from Brazil. Seems like Andrea must have some connection issues on her end. I think so. All right. Tends to happen when people run into poles or something. Probably something 18-wheeler ran into something out in Midland. Once again, thanks to everybody for watching. We do appreciate it. And as always, let me find the little button. Where's it at? There it is. Oh, yep, the purple drill button. Hold on. Know your industry. There.